Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Show. We have a special guest on the show today, a very talented actor who can be seen in the TV series Better Call Saul, the TV series Mayor, the TV series Murder Made Me Famous, and the outstanding faith-based series, which can be seen on PureFlix, The Chosen. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, please welcome to the show the very talented Phil Mendoza. What's up, Phil? How are you?
Man, I'm doing well, except for I just spilled coffee. I spilled coffee 2 seconds before we came on. It's just, hey, it's part of the life, right?
Yeah, man, it's part of the landscape. I mean, we live in a Starbucks world, Phil, so it's pretty normal.
We're good to go. We're good to go.
Yeah. Well, Phil, it's great to have you on the show, man. I tell you, you've got quite a few accolades going. One thing I did not mention, and I failed to, and let's just start out with that. First of all, actually, before we even do that, what the heck have you been doing to stay busy during the midst of this crazy pandemic, Phil?
Man, it's been I've been working actually, and it's been an amazing adjustment. And 2020, I know we're in 2021 now, but as bad as or as challenging as 2020 was for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as the acting opened back up, I started auditioning again, and I started booking some great stuff. And so I've been working. I've been auditioning. I've been staying busy, and they're my full-time job, obviously, since COVID started. I stopped doing Uber and Lyft because that was just a little too nerve-wracking, probably a little too dangerous at the time, having people so close in the car.
Yeah.
So I started working security, 5 minutes from home. So I work that a lot, but they're working with me as far as allowing me to do my auditions, and taking off for shoots and bookings and things like that. So to answer your question, I've been busy. I've been working. If not regular job, then acting. So I'm very blessed.
I've noticed that in this industry of entertainment, especially acting, I mean, it seems that the field has opened up even wider than normal. And maybe it's because of this Zoom ability that we have. I can audition for a film, in New York, I can be in LA and audition for a film in Italy, even, or Germany, or, everywhere, man.
Yeah, it's really, really worked out. It's like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make this happen? How are we going to make this happen? So, all studio folks and casting directors, everybody got proactive and creative and said, hey, somebody came along with Zoom, and they said, we're going to have auditions. People are going to be doing auditions from home to be safe. And it's worked out. It's really worked out for lots of folks. And, I'm just very blessed and very, very happy. And I really have nothing to complain about at all.
You know what, Phil, I have a feeling this is, whenever we get back to normal, and I'm starting to get the sense now that it's within reach. Don't know how close the reach is, but it's like you can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, whenever we get there, I have a feeling, I'd love to hear your opinion, that we're going to take this platform with us. What do you think of that?
I think it's going to, I absolutely think you're right. I think it's going to be, when casting directors realize now that they've already realized it with the Zoom and virtual audition capabilities, they're able to explore talent from all over the place. So this is going to work for everyone, and actors are obviously, even before this, I was already doing some self tapes for productions in LA and other places because, they were already looking outside of LA. And so this capability already existed. It just wasn't the regular audition method. And it's going to be exciting when we finally go back into in-person, and we are coming close to that. I saw the light at the end of the tunnel early on. I didn't want this pandemic or anything else to take control over me completely. I was terrified at first. A lot of people were. I lacked some information. The misinformation that's gone out here and there. There has been some misinformation. There's been plenty of good information, but it's like, what do you believe? What's this? What's what do we do? We're hearing so many different things, but I chose to see the light early on, and with support from family and friends and other actors in the community and other artists. Man, we all push each other all the way through, and I think a lot of us saw the light early on.
Yeah, and I had Stephanie Parker on the show yesterday, and she's been in Vindication and some other. I think your two worlds kind of intersect a little bit, but she was telling me that a lot of stuff's been going on in her career as well, and it seems like opportunities for actors has actually increased. What is it like on set as far as COVID-19 protocol, Phil?
So it's beautiful in a sense, in a big sense, because with everything having gone on in 2020, being on set, even though there's going to be some adjustment and some adapting that needed, that's what life's about, is adjustment and adapting to different challenges. Being on set, having to wear a mask, having to wear a face shield and or a mask, and getting your COVID test, sometimes on set on a daily basis, sometimes just before a day before the production. All that none of that's fun, but there just is no negative or bad or rough without smooth, good, and positive. So it's all about perspective. What are you gonna focus on? The fact that I have to wear this mask and I'm on set, man. I'm on set. I'm happy. I have so much to be grateful for, and I think a lot of folks look at it that way, and I know a lot of creatives that look at it that way. We're grateful to be on set. We have to adapt to a few tests and different protocols and things like that, but we're working, and so it's a great thing, man. There's a lot to be thankful for, despite any of the challenges.
I totally agree. Kenny, what's going on, my friend? That's comedian Kenny Lee Robinson here in the Northern Virginia area. And as comedians, it's difficult for us because we can't perform live anymore. So it's like we're doing all of our stuff on Zoom. Now, you do have the younger comics that are still going out to certain places here and there. The young kids kind of really don't. I don't know what to say about you. I mean, young is being young. It is what it is. But when you're older and you got a family, you don't really want to go out there too much. So it's been difficult for us, but things are still, even in that vein, are starting to open up. And then I've had an opportunity myself to audition for some movies and some commercials.
Yeah, I heard you started diving in. Right on. I heard about that.
Yeah, I just started diving in, and the opportunities are there, man. I mean, I'm waiting on the results for a few of them, but, I've had a number of auditions that I've been able to do right here in my studio at home, right across from my bedroom.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and like I said, when it comes to comedy, I'm meeting comedians from the UK, Italy, Germany, Canada. I never would have known these guys before had it not been for the pandemic, which gives me an opportunity to kind of expand my networking in a huge way. I think something very positive is going to come out of this now. And on number one, we got to be thankful that we're working, like you said, Phil. I mean, we can actually still do what we love to do. So we got to be thankful. Number one, there's no need to be complaining. Yeah, you got to wear a mask. Yeah, you got to take a test. Yeah, whatever. You're still able to work and do what you love to do. So being thankful is the number one deal, and I totally agree with that.
There's a lot of power in the virtue of gratitude, man. A lot of power.
Oh, there is. There's no question about it. You were in the series Better Call Saul TV series. Tell us a little bit about that and how fans can follow that show.
So that was in towards the end of actually 2019. I was in episode 6, season 5. I played Detective Ed Carey. I auditioned for Better Call Saul probably 3 times. And I got on this show, and it's an amazing experience. It was nerve-wracking to an extent, of course, but it was amazing. I was on this, and I don't watch a lot of TV. So I didn't, when my son found out that I was going to be on Better Call Saul, he's like, "What? Oh my gosh, are you going to meet Bob Odenkirk?" And I was like, "Forgive me, Bob." I was like, "Who is that?" And he was like, "Oh, well, you don't watch the show. I can't believe you don't watch a lot of TV, Dad. You're an actor, blah, blah, blah." I watch a lot of documentaries and a lot of crime stuff, not even crime TV shows, but more documentaries type shows.
Yeah.
But I learned that I'm on this. I'd never even seen an episode of Breaking Bad, which is the prequel or the backstory, I guess, to all of Better Call Saul, or vice versa. I don't even know,
Okay.
but
Right.
but I found out I was on this amazing, worldwide viewed show, and it was an amazing experience, man. And again, a wonderful resume builder, a wonderful credit. Wasn't a huge role. I was just a co-star, but
Yeah.
that doesn't matter. That's not a complaint by any means. That was the gratitude. Once again, is there and alive and bright, and it was a great experience. It was a learning experience as well, for sure.
Well, you are a heck of an actor, Phil. I've seen you in a number of things, and I'm hugely impressed, and I'm really impressed with the and please help me out a little bit on this one. But you played the role of Aaron in a Bible series, I think.
Yes.
And dude, you really nailed that. And I guess it was like about a 10-minute, scene. It's a lot of script, and I can relate. I mean, I've been in film, love different. I know what it's like. Remembering a lot of script, and I've done some theater too. But dude, I admire anybody because I know what it takes a lot to remember a lot of script and then be in command of it, so you can act. You don't want to just be thinking of what the lines. You want to act.
Yeah.
You want to portray whatever you're conveying, man. And you did an awesome job with that, playing the role of Aaron, dude. You nailed that. Tell us a little bit about how fans can see you in that particular series.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, that's with Eyewitness Bible Series. That is on eyewitnessbible.org.
Okay.
And if you look under basically the book, for lack of better words, it's a section called Promised Land, and I play the character of Aaron. And what Eyewitness Bible Series is, it's not an acted show. It is basically an audio Bible, an audio visual Bible, but there's not a bunch of characters interacting together. We're basically telling the story from the perspective of the character, and mine particularly was Aaron, and we basically tell our life experience and the story of the Bible for those who, I guess, for those who don't like to read or whatever. It's just another avenue for them to learn. There was a lot of dialogue. You're right. It was about 10 minutes. It's actually just over 11 minutes, and a lot of dialogue. I think I had 7 and a half pages, but fortunately, they asked us to use the teleprompter. They said the instructions early on are, please get as familiar as you can with this dialogue and with the character itself, so that you don't have to rely so much on the teleprompter. We want it to come naturally for you. I had it. Gosh, it was a lot of memorization. I had about 95% memorized, and that helped. Obviously, that definitely helped.
Yeah.
But when you have it, and the challenge of the teleprompter for a situation like this is, when I've got it so memorized and I've got my natural behaviors coming out to portray the character and where he's coming from, but I have to now follow a teleprompter. It was a balancing act right there, because I have to follow the teleprompter and balance out what I already have memorized and make it look good. So thank you for your viewing of it and your compliments. I worked hard on it, and while I am my own biggest critic, and anyone who knows me knows that, I was pretty happy. I was pretty happy with the final product that came out. I have my own little criticisms of myself, and I always will, but I'm pretty happy with the result. Thank you.
Well, I'll say this, Phil, as a comedian, I can identify with a single act because it's a lot more fun when you're bouncing off other spirits, other people. You just get into a better zone. But when it's just you and you're just trying to take control of that script, that's just a huge challenge. And I watched how calm you were when you were doing it. I mean, it was like you had it. You weren't, you were acting. You had it, man. And so, yeah, I just wanted to compliment you on that because I thought it was pretty fantastic. And I actually think I'm going to watch the rest of the that Bible series because all of the actors are, like you said, portraying a certain part of the Bible from the perspective of the character, you know, in a particular chapter or what have you. And it was just really good, man. And that really showcases your ability as an actor when you do something like that and you do it well. It's like it takes a lot. Believe me, I know what I can definitely relate to that. So I kind of wanted to jump into that a little bit, and definitely would love for fans to know how they can get, because a lot of people don't want to read the Bible. You're right. I mean, if you can listen to it, or if you can, better yet, watch it. Like, and what's the guy's name that put this series together?
Andrea Job is the director. Her and her husband, I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. He's actually the videographer. But Andrea Job is the writer. They might be co-writing it, actually. And they put this whole thing together, I think, probably a couple of years ago, maybe longer. But there's certainly many before me. There's a lot of characters in the Bible, obviously, and so there's a lot of actors and different talents that are portraying these different characters. But Andrea Job is she's the go-to person on this.
Now, I saw you in The Chosen. It's probably between The Chosen and Vindication of the top two faith-based projects that are going on right now. They got a lot of followers for The Chosen. I love The Chosen, dude. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I love it. And you were in episode 5. And episode 5 actually might be my favorite episode. But you are the banquet host in this episode, and you did just a terrific job there. And matter of fact, I think your part in that episode may have been the pinnacle point of the episode as far as the realization of the water being turned into wine by Christ and so forth. Well, that's the number one moment. But of course, when you came up and you made that speech there at the banquet, it was riveting. It was quite riveting. What was it like doing that particular episode? Because it looked like there were a lot of moving parts going on there.
There was, man. Gosh, it was the honor and the privilege to be on a set that is so filled with love all the way around. Whether you're a believer or you're not, you're surrounded by immense love on this set because of what the story's about.
Yes.
I had the honor of being the master of the banquet, is their official title, and I get to announce this wine, the best wine that was saved for last. The amazing scene in that episode for me is when Jesus actually turns the water to wine. It's pretty, when you hear the story all your life, and then you get to be a part of this story, and I get to portray the master of the banquet to announce it. It was wonderful, and there was a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of I was on set, I think, for 3 or 4 days, and while it was hot, very hot, it was here in Texas in the summer, so it was like 80-something degrees at night. Imagine what it was in the daytime, and most of our scenes were at night, but it was still, there was a lot of dancing, a lot of moving around, like you said. This was a wedding, and a wedding where the water has been turned to the best wine ever. It was a celebration, and we all had to do a lot of dancing. We had to do a lot of moving. It was an amazing production and scene, and the entire project is just, it blows people away. And it's worldwide now. It's subtitled. I think you can have it subtitled in like 10 different languages. It's really a successful project.
I had Justin Overlander on the show last week, the associate producer, and Justin was telling me that I think you guys were up at as late as 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning doing one of the scenes there.
Yeah, that was for that actual scene where we did all basically the celebration of when the water is turned into wine and all the dancing and the reception, basically. Gosh, I think we wrapped, I believe. I think I wrapped at around 3 or 4 a.m. and I think they finally were completely wrapped at around 5 or 6.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a lot of long hours but so well worth it. I mean, if you're doing what you love, it's there's just nothing to complain about. It's just all the sweat, the cuts, the falling, not for this project specifically as far as cuts or anything goes, but whatever the project is. I mean, if you're going to jump into this and you're going to do what you love to do, then you take on everything that comes with it. And long hours, being underslept, sweating like crazy, stinking like crazy. It's, having to wear things that you would never normally wear. I had to wear some big rings and some jewelry and a big this hat thing and this long, I don't even know what you call it, but it was is it comfortable? It's comfortable because I'm doing what I love. Would I wear it every day? Would I do this every day out in public? No, unless it's for a project, So, but it's just all joy.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, when you're doing that, you don't really worry about the ancillary things that may or may not be irritating. You're doing what you love to do. I had the chance to do Love Different with Jen Gottson and Tommy Ford in 2016. And it was just a joy to be on set with them and then watch their expertise, and learn some things from them. They're so good. And just being in that environment, they even threw a scene at me that I didn't get a chance to prepare for. They just said, "Oh, by the way, we want you to do another scene," and they gave me the script, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" I don't know if you've ever seen Tommy Ford. He's always cracking a joke. Come on, dog. Time to step up, dog. I was like, "Well, okay, all right, all right, I'll do it." But it was fun.
Well, yeah,
everything was just a lot of fun,
Yeah, and that's part of it, though. You get little pop-up lines that, hey, all these changes that just happen real time right there on set. That's part of the whole creative genius and creative eyes of the writers and the directors and the producers. Let's try this. Let's do this. I remember Dallas. Dallas asked me at one point. Oh, I can't remember what the line. It was one of the lines in there, and he said, "What do you think about this line right here?" And I said, "I think it sounds this way when it's said like this, but if we say it this other way, then it makes a little more sense." And he was like, "I agree." That meant so much to me because when he asked me, I was like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh!" And then I told him my thought, and he went with it, and it worked out great. And it's just. God, there's just so much to be thankful for when you're doing what you love to do. And Dallas was somebody great to work with. He's very communicative. He involves everybody. Obviously, everybody's involved, but for him to being the creator of this thing, treating you like the value that you are, asking your opinion on something, and then his sense of humor and Justin's sense of humor. Justin loves puns. Dallas. He does. Dallas loves. Dallas is a joker as well, but he's very committed, very focused. But he takes a minute to breathe. And speaking of breathing, gosh, about 45 minutes to an hour after lunch, we're on set, and at one point he says something, and he turns right. He's standing next to me, and he turns right to me, and he burps. And when he burps. This is gross, but he burps. It was literally right in my face. Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, Dallas." He was like, "What?" And I said, "You just burped in my face. I know exactly what you hate." And he was like, "Oh, sorry." Just went on to other things. And I don't know if he remembers that. He probably doesn't because he's so busy. Yeah. But I get to say that Dallas Jenkins burped in my face. I got to smell the guy's insides. And that's not a pretty visualization of some words there, but hey, I'm sentimental. What can I say?
Hey, what can you say? I mean, that's a rare treat indeed, Phil.
It's a treat.
Well, so Dave Ebert says one of the funniest lines in that particular episode is when they said, "Jesus, can you help Andrew's dancing?"
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got to ask you this. What is it? What is it like working, dude, with Jonathan Rumi? Because I absolutely think his portrayal of Jesus is the best I've ever seen.
Let me tell you something. Um, he's a busy guy as well, busy on
Yeah.
set, extremely focused. I'm not a starstruck type of person. I don't go up and try to, hey, you know, but I did have an opportunity to sit with him and a few others in the green room. The green room being actually a stone room here on the Weatherford set, a room that is actually used in many scenes. But for this particular night, that was the green room.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in there with him and a few other people, and he's so, I don't, except for, you know, after being on the show and watching some of his other projects that he does outside of, he does a prayer. He does a prayer on Instagram. He does like a daily prayer thing or weekly prayer thing.
Wow.
And he's such an embodiment of his character, even offset. And at least that's what it seems. And during this time in the green room with him, I remember telling him, I gotta try to keep myself composed for this part, but I remember telling him that because of this episode and this show, because of the nature of the show and the genre, this may very, very well be the first time in about 7 years that someone very, very special to me will see me. And he just listened, and the way he handled it, and I didn't get too in depth with him because there's just not a lot of time.
Yeah.
But he leaned forward to me and he says, "Thank you for telling me this." And then he said a couple other things, and then he left. And he said it, and there was just so much love in it. And I'm sitting here facing this portrayal of Jesus, and so it's just a really, really strange experience, because you know, religion is one thing, relationship is another. I've had my battles with God for years. I've lived the life very charismatically at one point, and then I stepped away, and I go back and forth with it. But I'm human. And if anyone understands me and my battles within myself or whatever, or with God himself, it's the creator, right? So, but to be sitting in a room and talking to this guy and telling him that someone so special to me may very well be seeing me for the first time in all these years because of this show.
Yeah.
And him just telling me after that, "Thank you for telling me that." And he said a few other things that were just between me and him, but it just meant, I felt like I was talking to God for a minute. You know, it was just really, it was a really surreal experience.
And I can believe it, because I honestly believe that everything he does on this show, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, you know, that's how Jesus would have done that. He would have said it like that. He would have looked at that. He would have looked at Peter like that. That's exactly how he would have done. You know, I find myself, you know, feeling that way as I'm watching him portray Jesus. I've never seen anyone do it that well before. He is really tremendous at it. And I'm glad that you had the opportunity, Phil, to, you know, kind of talk to him and be a part of this.
He brings the man he brings him to true life and brings him down to earth for everybody. And it's so well written. It's so well written and so well acted. And the videography from Akis Konstantopoulos, he's the DP on this. Everything about this show is just really, really beautiful. And I tell people all the time, you know, whether you're a believer or not, it's a great show. It's witty. It's witty. It's again, the videography and cinematography is beautiful. It's so well written, everyone's portrayal of their characters is so down to earth and everyone can relate. And yes, his portrayal of Jesus in this makes him so much more relatable. He's not just these words, these red words in a Bible. Right. Or he's not this so serious character, you know, in another film. he's like when the woman at the well says, "I'm going to run and I'm going to tell everybody about this," and he was like, "I was counting on it." I think that's awesome when he's joking around about Andrew's dancing. When episode 3, when that's full of children, when he's talking to the children.
That was a great episode as well. Yeah.
It was an amazing episode. It's just, he does just a beautiful, beautiful job. And so kudos to everyone on that show, the entire production. Chad Gunderson, Dallas Jenkins, Justin Overlander, all of them. It's just it's why it's blowing up so much. It's doing extremely well. And people can view it around the world for free, and it's just an amazing project.
And with all due respect to all that have portrayed Jesus in whatever presentation in the past, because they've all been pretty good. I don't think I've ever seen a bad one.
Right.
And I just think the difference is that Jonathan's able to have a relatable effect with the characters. It seems like he's down to earth, and he's actually able to kind of relate in a way that I've never seen. I've just never seen a portrayal of Jesus so down to earth, but yet, portraying God at the same time. I've just never seen it done that well.
Right.
Love the way he does it.
And so many haven't. So many haven't seen it done so well, and that's why it's doing so well, because the world can relate to it, And again, believe it or not, watch it for the great acting and the great writing. I mean, if you're going to watch something else on TV that's fictional and you believe that this is all fictional, watch it anyway. Give it a shot. Swallow some pride and enjoy some good entertainment, good acting, good writing, and just do it, like Mike says, right?
I love it, Phil. Swallow some pride and just do it. Dave Ebert says the way the tears well up when Mary reads the Shabbat prayer, the way he tears up when the children are reciting the prayer, phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. And I tell you this, I've actually, listen, Phil, I'm choked up on just about every episode, particularly episode 5 and 3. It's like, tears just welling up in my eyes at the end of the episodes. I'm like, I'm blown away. I'm just blown away. It's so good. And in episode 5, where you're playing the host of the banquet, there were 3 things that stood out in that episode to me. Of course, Jesus, but Mary, who plays the role. I don't know if you are aware of the name of the lady that plays the mother of Jesus, Mary.
That's Vanessa Benavente.
She was great. She was really good. And
she's fantastic.
She is. And so the way she's, interacting with Jesus and getting him to have the water turn into wine, and then the music in the background when she makes the request. Oh, I loved it. Yeah. And so that stood out to me. Your part at the banquet stood out to me. That was a pinnacle moment in the episode to me as well. And also the gentleman that played the condescending husband of the bride's parents. That guy was good. What's his name, Phil?
That is oh goodness gracious. That's Matt. Matt. I communicate with him all the time on Facebook. With comments here or there. Matt.
And I think I've seen him in some other things too.
Yeah, you probably have. He was on, I think it was Days of Our Lives for a while. He was on. He's done some other projects as well. I only met him on that set. He came in on my day 2 is when he arrived, I believe.
Okay.
He did a great job as well.
He was really good. I loved it. I mean, the thing that I loved about him, even though he was condescending and arrogant and slightly comedic, the way that he was affected, at the end about the wine, when he realized that maybe, he's the problem, maybe he's got an issue.
Right. Yeah. She said, his wife says there's something wrong, and he says, "I was." He admits right there, I was the one. I was the problem. I was the one in the wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So he did a great job, and everything about that episode was great. And kudos to Dallas Jenkins and Justin Overlander, and as they prepare for season 2, they're wrapping up season 2. Do you know how close they are to being done with that?
I think it's done. I believe season 2 is wrapped.
Done. They're done. Yeah, I'm thinking about
Yeah,
when are they going to actually release it for the public?
I think they are trying for Easter.
Okay.
I think they're trying for Easter. If I remember correctly, the goal is for Easter. There's no guarantees, but they're trying for it because this Texas freeze that we had recently that backed a few things up. Um, so there's some of the challenges that come with doing what you love to do. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think they're shooting for Easter time. So not long, pretty soon.
Well, Phil, I again, as I've said, I think you're a tremendous actor, and I think that some big things are on the horizon for you, dude. You've got it. You've got all the goods, man. How did you get started in acting?
Ooh, man, that is. I'm going to try to make a long story really short. So I spent 17 years in Killeen, Central Texas, in the Fort Hood area. My father was stationed there
Okay.
twice. And when we returned back from Uruguay, we were back at Fort Hood in Killeen. I was pretty wild. So a lot of people will be able to relate to this. I was a pretty rebellious teen. I had a learning disability, which in my 30s was now called ADD, which that explained a lot of things as far as my scholastics. So I got into a lot of fighting and
Okay.
class clowning and skipping school and things like that. That lifestyle led into a fatal car accident in 1993, and I regained my memory. Usually, brain injury is a two-year healing process. I regained that. I healed basically in Dallas Fort Worth, in
Okay.
Louisville specifically, about 20 minutes from here. I apparently had plans to move to Austin and continue partying or whatever. I don't know, but um, before I was even medically cleared to drive or work, I was actually driving my car in Old Town Louisville, and I saw the Louisville Community Theater, and there was an audition for To Kill a Mockingbird in there, and I'd never read the book. I didn't even know the story. I'd heard of it, and I literally, out of nowhere, I turned in, I parked, I went in, and I said, "Hey, I'd like to audition for this." They gave me this long monologue, and when I think about it now, it's like I don't even know what I was doing, but
Yeah.
I got through half of it, and I went blank twice in the same spot. To this day, I still remember half of that page.
Yeah.
Um, and then gosh, that was 90. That would have been in 94. In 97, I started pursuing auditions that I would hear about on the radio. And I went to a John Casablanca modeling agency, and I'm sorry, no, it was John Robert Powers here in Addison. At the time, he was in Addison, and I auditioned, and out of like 150 people, they brought it down to like 70 people, and then out of 70 people, on the third day, they brought it down to 50, and then I qualified for this amazing event through Teresa Scordo. And there's all these rules and regulations. You got to do this. You got to have 2 monologues memorized. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. And I only had 1 monologue memorized. Thank God that we only had to use 1. But
Yeah.
there's people there that were models, actors, singers, and I was there only for acting. And so many people got on day 3 of this event at the DoubleTree Hotel. It was DoubleTree at the time. It's now the Hilton. That's when you get your basically callbacks. We have to meet in the atrium of the hotel at 7 a.m. and see which callbacks we get. Some got callbacks from different production companies, and Fox and Warner Brothers, Disney, they were all there. I got to audition in front of all of them. And I got 1 single callback, and I remember I was number 311. And I
Okay.
liked the band. There's a band called 311 at the time. And they announced, okay, when we call your numbers, please come up to the stage. Please come up to the stage and see who you got your call back from. If we don't call your number, please exit the atrium immediately. So they said 310, 309, 310, 311, 315, 320. And they called my number, and I gave somebody the hardest high five ever. I remember he was like, "Ow," And I went up to the stage, and I saw these people. I saw all these names and all these different. They had different callbacks from different agencies, and I saw Phil Mendoza, and it said, Keith Morgan Agency, Costa Mesa, California. And I'm like, wow. So I call this guy up and I go meet him. Actually, I meet him about 30 minutes after that. Very, very rapid, very quick process. And he says, "I saw your monologue. I liked it. Here's my card. Call me in 2 weeks." I did that. Called him up. Making a long story short, as I'm trying here, that didn't pan out. He was wanting me to move to LA. There was nothing that I couldn't do that at the time, just because of, I had 2 young kids at the time and everything. And so that didn't happen. In 2001, I got with an agency called the Yvette Stone Agency, and I had headshots from a photo shoot from the event I just told you about. Mm-hmm. And she liked she said, "I like your look. Do you speak Spanish?" And I said, "Yes, I'm fluent." She goes, "Okay, I like your look. You don't have any experience, but here's what we're going to do. You're going to go through 10 auditions before you get anything. Just stick with it. Don't get discouraged. Get classes when you can, et cetera, et cetera." I went through 4 auditions. First 4 auditions, I had 2 callbacks. My first booking was with HBO, and that was with director Nori Niven. And he's out here, Dorton. And Nori I've worked with 4 different times. And my most recent working with him was Murder Made Me Famous in 2018. And that's how I got into acting. And then in 2005, I put it down for what was supposed to be 1 year, and it turned into 11. That's a whole nother story. Yeah. And that was very hard. It was very hard to not do what you are supposed to do for so long. When I got back in 2016,
you're a natural.
When I got back in, when I got back in 2016, I decided to take some classes because I'd never taken classes before. So I took some classes, and then I got some short films under my belt for a reel. And then I submitted to somebody actually referred me to my present agent, or referred me to them. And that agent, Linda McAllister, said, "Have Phil send me his stuff." I was getting all that ready to submit it to her. Even with that referral, it still took me 5 months to meet with her because she's extremely busy. And but I wrote to her and I said, "I'm not going to submit to anyone else." So at some point, she finally met with me, and I've been with her since the end of 2019. The end of 2018, I'm sorry. No, we signed in January. I think it was January 28th of 2019. And things have just been beautiful since. Linda McAllister and my acting coach, Glenn Morshower, who's a regular working actor. You've probably, I guarantee you've seen him on TV several times probably. It was through some of his training that I was able to get, a reel done. So, yeah.
So you that 11-year span where you were out, you're just going to pick up where you left off because you're just on your way. This is something you were made to do. I mean, you're just, like I said, an absolute natural at it. I was in Philadelphia. I'm sorry, not 19. It's probably in 2015. America's Got Talent, and so, man, there are so many talented people in this country. So it was just, oh my gosh, so many people. Anyway, so it took me and about 20 other people to a room. There's so many people that are trying to, audition all these people. I go into the room. I only have about 2 minutes to do my comedy. Everybody's laughing. And I walk away and I'm like, yeah, I got it. And this kid, this 10-year-old kid goes up there and he sings like an angel. And I got done. When he got done, I looked at everybody. And I was like, "This has really been fun. It's been nice meeting you guys."
Yeah, see ya.
Juggling, right? You're a great juggler. But this kid is going to the next round. There's no doubt about that. And they asked all of us to, kindly walk out afterwards. But I just said that based on, when you gave the guy the high five and everything. It's great when you accomplish a win in this business. The feeling's awesome. And really I can watch someone else get the accolades. I just love being around it. And I love watching skilled people. I just absolutely love it. So, yeah, man, and kudos to you, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you in some major league stuff. As a matter of fact, I honestly believe it's coming. Let me ask you this, Phil, because you said you went blank when you were when you start this first opportunity with To Kill a Mockingbird. What is it like with butterflies and nervousness? How do you handle that to stay calm?
Oh, goodness. Studying your material really, really helps.
Yeah.
I get butterflies. I get nervous still, all the time.
Yeah.
Almost before, if I'm in acting class with people that I see every week. Now
Yeah.
I'm presently not in my acting class right now, but before pre-COVID, we all met in person, obviously, and even these people that I saw all the time, my friends, even then I would get nervous because I want to show, more importantly, myself, but also the audience,
Yeah.
that I can do this, So
Yes.
the best way to get over that is really, really know your stuff. As Glenn has taught us, be from it, not about it. Whatever you're performing, be from it, not about it. And that really helps as well. Psyching yourself up can be good and it can be bad. It just depends. I would just breathe, meditate, pray, whatever it is that you believe in to calm you down. Do those things. I would write whenever I would do a scene. I write the entire scene, both characters' parts, so that I know where my character's coming from as well as my scene partner. I want to know where their character's coming from. So I'd really, I'm a night owl, so I would take my notebook with me, and I would go to an IHOP, order some food, get some coffee, and I would really do my homework and study my scene overnight. Not the whole night, but maybe 2 or 3 hours, and just really study my stuff without having to worry about a restaurant full of people looking at me thinking I'm crazy because it's overnight. But sometimes that happens, and you just gotta. And that's almost practice right there, because you're doing this in front of a bunch of people that you don't know. They might look at you funny. Learn to get over that. Learn to set everything else aside and really focus and being from the character's experience. So it takes different methods for different folks. But
everybody's got their own style and method of and that's why I love asking that question to different entertainers. How do you power through that? I mean, because we've all got to deal with that. Is if you're not breathing, if you don't get nervous before you perform. And I think I heard
what do you do?
What's that?
What do you do?
Well, as a comic, one thing I do to stay calm is I don't look at my material once I arrive at the venue. I'm done. I don't want to see my material.
Okay.
So I just want to enjoy the evening, chit chat, and I want it to be a normal night. I got my stuff down. So that's number one. Don't think about my set in my mind or on paper. I'm done with that. I've practiced. If I don't know it by now, I'm not going to know it. And the second thing is, when I get to the stage, like you said, just before you perform, you got to get really nervous just before. So about 10 seconds before I grab the mic, I always say to myself, how am I going to remember all this stuff? Oh, what the heck?
I've said that too. Yeah.
And I go, oh, what the heck? And I grab the mic and I let it rip. And that goes back to what you said about preparation. I mean, because you've prepared, because you've gone over your script, your material, and you've practiced, the proof's always in the pudding. And it always shocks me at how well I perform as far as not getting flustered, not, having a brain belch. I go right through my material very smoothly and composed, but I'm not thinking that. I'm like hyped. The adrenaline is like really going. But I have my material, under control. I know what I'm doing and how I want to do it. And that carries the day. And eventually it eliminates the nerves because you're in that zone. Once you get in that zone, I think you probably have experienced this many times, Phil. When you get in that zone, man, you're not Phil anymore. It's like you're that person. And so that's kind of how I do it. I don't want to see it. But everybody has their own style. I have a comedian friend, and he's hilarious. But before he goes on stage, there's this aura around him that says, "Don't come near me."
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get anywhere near the guy, man. He's in this zone where he doesn't want to communicate with anybody. That's how he stays calm. And he gets on stage and he kills it. But it's interesting and intriguing, how people have their ways to stay calm. Now you started doing this.
It's all about learning to channel it the right way. And I think Glenn has told us, put that energy into. It's about concentration. It's really, really a fine dance, and it's a balancing act. But if you can put that energy into the character's experience, then it becomes part of the acting, and not so much the actor's nerves. It becomes part of the character's energy. If you can balance that, you can channel it correctly. It certainly helps.
So having started this 17 years ago, and then you did mention you had an 11-year break, but I would never know that you've ever took a break from it. You're so good at it. I'd love to know what after all those years, Phil, what is the biggest thing about acting that you have learned that's actually made you a better actor?
That this is what I'm supposed to do. I get emotional sometimes, man, so I'm going to try not to here. But when you, what have I learned from acting? That this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
I love it so much. I've also learned for sure that it's not as easy as some folks might think. It is a fine dance. It's a balance. You have to balance.
Yeah.
Looking off to the side when you're doing your lines, maybe just a small expressions that you do with your face. Maybe just the corner of your mouth smiling or coming back down from a smile, or your eye moving off to the right real quick. All these things help tell the story in a more believable way.
Yes.
And it's a balance. It's really a balance. And that's probably not the best example, but it's all just a real balancing act in a dance. And it's not easy. And you can have I believe that I have a good eye and a good ear. But even then, when I know how it really should be done this way, but going and executing it that way, it's not always easy to do.
Yeah.
And so classes get into classes for anybody who's looking to get into this. It's certainly gonna help you. And you need to hone your craft and really, really practice, because acting is just it's a beautiful journey. You get to tell stories, and you get to be someone else for a while as well. But it's work, and it's not as easy as people think. It's certainly a dance and a balancing act, and as Glenn has taught us, it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. You gotta keep going and going and going. It's a tough industry, and you got to be able to hear the no's and accept the no's and not take things personally, and swallow pride and always be humble, and know that you can always continue learning, no matter how good you are, or no matter how good people think you are. You can always keep learning. I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. For rich, for poor, in sickness and in health, for better, for worse, I will do it. Because I'm supposed to be doing it, but it's not. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
And it is a lot of work, and a lot of people think they can do these things. They're watching, whether it be stand-up comedy or an actor at a stage play, or just watching a film, and you have people out there that think that they can do it, and a lot of times, they're first of all, they're just running their mouth. They don't want any part of it. They just talking big, and then others, once they get the opportunity and they realize, whoa, this is, especially in comedy, because we deal with hecklers. That's the heckler's problem. Yeah. The heckler thinks that he can get up there and do that, and nothing can be further from the truth. And I've seen some comics, just bury them and say, hey, listen, be my guest, come on up and give it a shot. And it's just not an easy thing to do, believe me. But And I totally agree with you. A lot of people get that idea. It is very difficult to pull off because you have to have the talent, number one, and then it's a skill. It's an absolute skill that you have to love, or otherwise you can never survive. You've kind of answered this question that I'm going to ask Phil, but I'm going to throw it out anyway for younger viewers that may see this. Young actors, actresses that are out there, they're young and they're thinking about making a career out of this. What kind of advice can you leave with them?
So I would certainly say, depending on your age, you want to run it by your parents and let them know you're interested in this, and having a strong support, what's the word? Circle of support. That's really going to help. You need to try it out, practice it. If you can't take classes, then for whatever reason, then write stuff and act it out. And now with today's technology and everything, you can record yourself on your phone and see what you think, see what other friends think, show it to them, get yourself used to acting and opening yourself up to the non-norm. Having trouble finding my words here. Get uncomfortable, because you're going to be uncomfortable at first. You have to be very vulnerable. It's a very vulnerable position to express and portray and all this in front of all these people. Get used to doing that by recording yourself and run it by your family and friends. Get some classes as soon as you can with the support of family. Obviously, that always helps. If someone tells you no, you'll never make it, it's too hard of an industry, et cetera, et cetera. Don't buy that. Take it in anyway. My family has always been supportive, but also skeptical. My father, my parents were old-fashioned. My mother passed away in '98, but she was supportive of this kind of thing early on, even though I didn't actually actively pursue it until after she passed. My father's always been like, yes, that's great, but you got to do this, because he didn't think anything could happen with it, really. I stuck with it, and I showed him, and I've shown other people that yes, you can, and most importantly, my kids. And some parents are not going to really appreciate this next comment, but so forgive me. But I told my kids early on, you don't have to go to college to be successful. You may not appreciate that as a parent, but I was told my son, if you can, I told all three of my kids, if you can read, write, and do math, you can pretty much be successful at anything. And it's good to have something to fall back on if this is something you decide you don't want to do. But certainly go for it and practice. Take some classes when you can. Follow your dreams, and if you realize that this is no longer a dream of yours, then stop and maybe go back to what you were studying before. But go for it. Go for it. You live one time. Life is too short. 2020 shows us that. Just go for it and try it. If you're a creative person and you feel this is in you, and you watch TV shows, and you're like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. You just got to. You have to try it. Go do it. Do it. That's what I have to say. Do it.
Great advice, Phil. I love it. Great advice. We were talking about The Chosen earlier. Dave Ebert says that the release date will be announced tonight, and there's a live stream going out for those that are wondering when The Chosen will be released. Good. We're talking with Phil Mendoza, who was in episode 5, which was probably the best episode of that series, and he had the most appealing part of that series in Master of the Banquet. In fact, your role is probably your role's character has the name of that episode, Master of the Banquet. Phil Mendoza, part of that, The Chosen season 1 on PureFlix, Redeem TV, and Amazon. And tonight you can find out the release date for season 2. Phil, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate you being on the show. You are a wonderfully talented actor, and I fully expect to see you and bigger things coming down the road. I'm ready. I can't wait. Because like I said, dude, you have the goods. how can fans follow you on social media or by website?
Okay, first, I wanted to get back to real quick. You asked about the character who basically admitted to being the problem earlier on. Matt Swern is his name, Cwern. Matt Swern, great character, great actor.
Very good actor.
You can find me on Time to Film, TimeToPhilm. That's on Instagram, Time to Film, and Facebook.com/Phil Mendoza. I want to give a shout out to Bobby Burris. I've got some plans. He and I have discussed some comedic endeavors that we're going to be embarking on in the near future, and he's somebody you need to talk to, Maurice, for sure.
What's his name again, Phil?
His name is Bobby Burris, and you can find him at The Real Big. Wait, what is it? I wrote it down here. The Real Bobby. Where is it? The Real Big Bobby B.
Okay.
At The Real Big Bobby B and at Orlay_worldwide.
I will look him up.
He's a multi-talent. He's funny. He's there's just so much about it. He's got his foot in so many different projects, and you need to check him out for sure.
I will definitely check him out. Absolutely. If he comes on high recommendation from Phil Mendoza, I'm gonna check him out. There's no doubt about that. Phil Mendoza, ladies and gentlemen, on the Maurice Brown Show. Once again, Phil, thank you for being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to like this video, please like and share and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Maurice Brown Comedy. Tonight, actually not even that late, probably at about 6 p.m., you can see the replay of this show with Phil Mendoza on the Creative Motion Network on Roku TV. And Phil, once again, thank you so much for being on the show. I pray the peace of Christ be with you and your family, brother. God bless you. Thank you for being on.
Thanks for having me. Blessings to you, my friend.
Amen. Amen.